All right, welcome to the live stream of the last session of the 2024 Saskatchewan Powerlifting Association Provincial Championships. This morning we have a very small session. Due to the weather, a lot of our athletes decided not to come out to the competition. So we've just got 3 athletes this morning, so it's going to be a quick session, but still some great lifting. And this morning, all of our competitors are youth competitors between the ages of 12 and 13. So our first athlete up is Lars Wahlberg, competing in the 53 kilo weight class. You see him getting set up for the squat there. And that's a good opening attempt for Lars. So you saw that there was 2 commands in the squat. The start command, once Lars was all locked out and set up, and the rack command once he was standing upright at full extension. So the athletes have to wait for those 2 commands in the squat in order to get a good lift. And then at the bottom of the screen, you might have seen 3 lights come up. They were white lights, and that corresponds with the 3 referees on the platform. The athlete just needs 2 of those lights to be white in order for it to be a good lift. So up next we have Reed Coots with his opening attempt of 45 kilos, 99.2 pounds. Excellent execution by Reed there, and the referees give him 3 white lights. And then our last lifter of this morning's session is Callum Bachoric. And Callum is squatting 135 kilos, so 297 pounds for his opening attempt. He's competing in the 74 kilo M3 category. 74 kilo Youth 3, not Master 3. And he is actually setting new national records on every attempt. So because every attempt is a national record, we've just got to swap out the referees here. Callum has done a good number of meets in the province. He did the Western Canadian Championships in Moose Jaw last March, and I believe he is planning to do the National Championships next February in Moose Jaw as well. Very nice execution there by Callum, and 3 white lights. So that concludes the first round of squats. So these athletes are going to get a 2-minute break. Because there's only 3 athletes, we give them some compensatory time to just recover. If it was a flight of any more than that, we wouldn't give them the compensatory time and it would just roll into the second round. But because of that, we get a bit of downtime here. So the athletes today will all do their second squat and then third squat, and then there will be a 20-minute break before we do the same thing on benches, where they do all of their benches, first, second, and third, and 20-minute break, and then we'll move on to deadlifts. So with the sport of powerlifting, there's all sorts of age divisions. So these guys are youth 3, so that means they are between 12 and 13 years old. Next year, if they turn 14, or the day they turn 14, they become a sub-junior lifter. And then sub-junior goes 14 to 19, junior goes 19 to 23, and then it turns into open between 23 and 39, and then 40 and up. Every 10 years, there's a new masters category. So 40 to 49 is masters 1, 50 to 59 is masters 2, and so on. Just a bit of time left on the compensatory time here. So Lars, for his second attempt, will take 27 kilos, so 59.5 pounds. And then we'll again be followed by Reed and Callum. About 30 seconds left of our break here today. All right, so that concludes our break time here. So Lars' second attempt is 27 kilos. So with youth lifters, their coach can come out onto the platform with them to help them set up. Anybody beyond youth, they can't have their coach come out, but so you can see his coach behind him just making sure he's set and centered, and then she'll step off and the spotters will step in. A nice control there. A good second attempt for Lars. You could see a little bit of hesitation at the top where it was like he was going to rack it, but he was able to control it. You can tell that they've been definitely practicing that in training to make sure that the athlete is aware of the commands and is holding the bar and making sure they're executing to those standards. So Reed is up next, taking 52.5 for his second attempt. And again, a very easy second attempt. So you see he got 2 white lights and 1 red light. The red light is circled by a red rim, which indicates that he failed to reach depth on the far side. So for depth, the hip joint needs to go below the knee joint in order for the athlete to get those white lights. And each of the referees, you can't really see them on the live stream. You can see the one on the far side. Each of the referees is watching for various infractions and is placed in a different spot. So each one has a different angle of the lift. So that's sometimes why there's that discrepancy, and some of the referees see it and some don't. But that was still a good lift for Reed's second attempt. All right, we've got Callum Batorik here taking 145 kilos for his second attempt. 145 kilos is 319 pounds. And again, this is a national record attempt here on the squat. Very good looking second attempt for Callum. 3 white lights. That's a good lift for Callum. And I know Callum moves up into the sub-junior age category next year. So he will be, I believe he's trying to achieve his national qualifying total as a sub-junior for next year, where the national championships will be held in Moose Jaw in February. So if you're interested in learning more about powerlifting, you can head over to our website, saskpowerlifting.ca. There we have a lot of resources, information about purchasing a membership, lots of upcoming events. The next competition after this provincial championships in the province is the Last Chance Powerlifting Competition, and it's typically the last competition of the year. And it is being held in Moose Jaw on December 7th. Now, registration has closed for that competition, but if you're interested in coming out to watch and support the athletes, spectators are definitely welcome. And then beyond that, nothing is on the calendar for 2025 yet. As far as local competitions, you should be able to go to our website, saskpowerlifting.ca, and go to upcoming events and see there what events are coming up as they get announced. And then Saskatchewan is playing host to the 2025 Canadian Powerlifting Union National Championships at the end of February in Moose Jaw. So that's going to be an exciting event with hundreds of powerlifters from across Canada coming to compete for the title of national champion. So that's definitely one you're not going to want to miss. So these athletes are now going to be starting their third squat attempt. So with powerlifting, there's the 3 lifts, the squat, bench, and deadlift. And then in each of those lifts, you get 3 attempts at each of them. The athletes get to choose their own weight. Whatever they start at, they can't go down from. So you've got to make sure that your opening attempt is a weight that you can execute to the standards with no problem. Because if you choose a weight that is too heavy to open with, you can't go down, and then you wouldn't be successful in that lift, and we would say what we would call a bomb in the meet. So in this final round of squats here, Lars is asking for 30 kilos for his third attempt, which is 66 pounds. He's been successful on his first 2. And then we'll have Reed and Callum finishing off the round. Again, this is a smaller session because a lot of our athletes chose not to come because the weather conditions up here in Martinsville are not great. There was a pretty major snowstorm overnight. So we've got a small group here this morning, but still some fabulous lifting. And we've already seen some national records being set. So we're wrapping up our break here. So Lars is going to take 30 kilos for his third attempt.
Lars, 30 kilograms, 66.1 pounds.
Again, we saw some good execution there on his second attempt where he made sure to wait for the commands. The squat looked very good, nice and strong. So I expect to see that here. And again, looks nicely executed. 2 white lights. That's a good lift. He got a yellow card from the front, and I'm unsure. Oh, it looks like that was maybe a referee error. I think it was supposed to be a white card. He held up the physical white card to indicate that he pressed the wrong button for that lift. So Lars was successful on all 3 of his squats, finishing with 30 kilos. So that 30 kilos will be used towards his total, which will rank the athletes at the end of the meet. Reed's taking 60 kilos for his third attempt, 132 pounds. And a very easy looking third. 2 red lights. So that means he did not get the lift. And you see both of those red lights are outlined in a darker red. So he did not go deep enough. The red card in the squat indicates it was insufficient depth. So he just needed to go a little bit deeper. Obviously, you saw how fast that moved. The weight wasn't a problem, but just needs to squat a little bit deeper next time, and he'll get that lift. So our final squat of this morning's session, Callum Batorik is taking 155 kilos or 341 pounds for his final squat attempt. And I believe this ties, or no, sorry, this would be a 10 kilo personal best. At the Canadian National Championships in September, where Callum competed, I had forgotten he competed there as well as Westerns this year. He squat 145 kilos, so this is 155, so a 10 kilo increase, 22 pounds. There was a good fight through that one. Let's see what the referees say. 3 white lights. Congratulations, Callum. Great work. You saw you had to fight through that one. If the bar had gone down during that fight, he would have got a blue card or a red light with a blue outline. So the blue card would be thrown because of downward movement of the bar, but because the bar never went downwards, it was a successful lift. So Callum finishes up squats with a new national record of 155 kilos. So now we will take a 20-minute break while the athletes warm up for the bench press portion. During the bench press portion, we will do the same thing. They will have first attempt, second attempt, third attempt, and then we'll do the same thing with deadlift. While we have a little bit of time here, we'll just do a thank you to the sponsors of today's competition. Saskatchewan Lotteries, Supplement King, Supplement World, our host company, Blackthorn Events, Mackey Physiotherapy, Inner Strength Products, A7, Foundation Fitness, Bridge City Barbell, SBD Canada, SaskTel, Strong Arm Sport, and Great Western Brewing. Thank you to those companies who have supported us, and we do strongly encourage you to support those companies who are giving back to the sport. So during this break, if you want to go learn a little bit more about powerlifting, head over to saskpowerlifting.ca. And if not, we'll be back in about 18 minutes. Welcome back to our youth portion of the Saskatchewan Powerlifting Association Provincial Championships. We are now on bench press. So Lars Wahlberg is starting us off with a 19 kilo bench press attempt. And that's a good opening attempt for Lars. So as you could see on that attempt, there was 3 commands that the athletes have to listen to. The start, when the athlete has the bar at full extension. The press, once the bar is motionless on the chest. And then the rat command, once they get it to full extension as well. And again, there's 3 referees around the platform, and they're watching for various infractions. So in the bench press, the bar can only go down when it touches your chest, and then has to go straight up in one movement. There can't be any downward movement. And additionally, the head, the butt, and the feet need to stay in contact with the floor and the bench at all times. So Reed's taking 40 kilos or 88 pounds for his opening attempt. And another easy looking opener. 3 white lights for Reed. And then the last opening attempt of today, 70 kilos on the bar for Callum. 154 pound opening attempt here. And again, this is also a national record. So for Callum right now, he's competing in the 74 kilo Youth 3 division. And all of his attempts today are going to be national records. The youth division at the Canadian level is a fairly new division. So this division hasn't had anybody set national records yet. So that's an exciting day for Callum because he's going to set a number of national records here today. So a body weight bench opening attempt here for Callum at 13 years old. And you can see that we changed out the bar between the second and third attempts. So the first 2 lifters are using a 10 kilo bar, and then Callum is using a 20 kilo bar. Looks like a good opening attempt. 3 white lights. New national record there for Callum. So again, we'll take a 3-minute break here for these athletes to get a bit of recovery time. And then they will take their second attempts. So Lars will be up first with 22.5. Reed is next, and then followed by Callum. So if you're interested in learning more about the sport, head on over to our website, saskpowerlifting.ca. There you can purchase a membership card. So in order to do a competition in Saskatchewan, you do need to purchase a Canadian Powerlifting Union membership. And that's around, I think, about $100. And then you have to register for a competition. Additionally, most competitors need to purchase or complete this Canadian Centre for Ethics in Sport True Sport Clean module. So powerlifting under the Saskatchewan Powerlifting Association is subject to drug testing. So athletes need to do an education component before they can compete so that they know what supplements they can and cannot take and their rights and responsibilities as an athlete should they be chosen for drug testing. And the drug testing in the Canadian Powerlifting Union is the same drug testing that is used across all Olympic sports. It is done by the Canadian Centre for Ethics in Sport and overseen by the World Anti-Doping Agency. So the athletes in our sport are clean and are subject to the same standards as Olympians. At present time, the powerlifting is not in the Olympics. A similar sport, weightlifting is. Weightlifting is composed of the snatch and clean and jerk, while powerlifting is the squat, bench press, and deadlift. So there are those differences. To an outsider, they're both barbell sports, but to those in the sport, they are very different. Technically, they're very different lifts and both have their own rules. So powerlifting is not in the Olympics, but it is in the World Games, which is an event that is held every 4 years. The next one is in 2025 in Chengdu, China. And that event is a multi-sport event for non-Olympic sports. And at present time, I believe we have 4 Canadians qualified for that championship and 1 lifter from Saskatchewan as well. So that's a pretty big deal for powerlifting in the province. All right, that pretty much concludes our 3-minute break. So Lars is taking 22 kilos for his second bench attempt here, 48 pounds. And his opener was very strong. He waited for the commands very well, so I expect to see the same thing on this one as well. Excellent execution there. That was a good lift for Lars. All right, Reed is asking for 47.5, which is 104 pounds for his second attempt. Callum is on deck, and then we'll have another break there. So you can see they're putting out some foot blocks for Reed, sorry. So athletes in the bench press have the option of asking for foot blocks, which come in 5, 10, 20, and 30 centimeter increments. So shorter athletes, younger athletes often will use foot blocks just to give themselves an easier pushing off of the ground. Because like I said, those feet have to stay in contact with the ground along with the butt, shoulders, and head. So the foot blocks just help elevate the ground a little bit towards them so that it's a bit easier to keep the feet on the ground.
47.5 kilos, 104.7 pounds.
And a good second attempt for Reed. All right, Callum's up next with 75 kilos. And again, a national record attempt here. We'll change out the bar for Callum. The bar gets changed out for Callum just due to the load that he's lifting. The 10 kilo bar isn't really rated for the weights that he's lifting, which is really an incredible feat for Callum. So 75 kilos, 165 pounds. So if you train in a standard gym, typically it's in pound plates in Canada, and one big plate is 135 pounds. So Callum's benching one big plate and then some with this 165 pound attempt. And again, national record attempt. All right, we'll see what the referees say on that one. Good lift. So he struggled through that one. It slowed down, and slowing down is totally fine as long as there is no downward movement. There can even be some uneven extension. Say the right arm could lock out before the left arm does, as long as the bar itself doesn't go down. All right, so we will take another 3-minute break here, and then we will do our final round of bench press. This is a short group. They're going to be done pretty quick this morning. Unfortunately, a good number of the athletes who were supposed to compete today weren't able to get here due to the weather, but we're still here for these 3 athletes and supporting them. Now, while I've got a minute here, I'm just taking a look at some of the provincial records here today. And it looks like Reed, all of his attempts have been provincial records. Callum's have also all been provincial records, and I believe, so Callum's have all been provincial have all been national records. And I believe they're all, it looks like that he's broken all of the provincial records so far as well in the squat and the bench press. In this case, the provincial records were actually higher than the national records. With provincial records, you can set those at any SPA, Saskatchewan Powerlifting Association competition, whereas national records can only be set at provincial level or higher competitions. So setting national records is a bit more, there's only certain competitions you can do it at, whereas national records, you can only set them at certain competitions, whereas provincial records, you can set at any competition. So there's a bit of a variance there. And I'm just trying to pull out my sheet here to see if Lars's attempts are provincial records. Yeah, and it looks to me like Lars will also be setting some provincial records today in his category. So that's great. So we've got tons of records happening today. The youth division is a fairly new division in the Canadian Powerlifting Union and the Saskatchewan Powerlifting Association. So a lot of athletes who are youth are setting provincial records right off the bat, which is great to see. It helps set a standard for future athletes. And if you're curious to see all of our records, you can head over to saskpowerlifting.ca and click on athletes, and then you'll see the drop-down menu there of provincial records, and they're all listed there in various files. So about 30 seconds of our break left here, and then all of the athletes will do their final bench press attempt, and then we'll take a 20-minute break before deadlifts. So all of these athletes have squat already, and they were all successful with the squat. So their heaviest squat gets added together with their heaviest bench press attempt that's successful and their heaviest successful deadlift, and then that will give them a total, which is what they're ranked on at the end of the day. So Lars is going to be coming out here for his 25 kilo attempt, and we've determined that this is a provincial record attempt for Lars. 55 pounds here. A little bit bouncy on the chest there. No lift, so he got 3 red lights, and they're all outlined by a yellow card. And I'm guessing the yellow card can be a variety of infractions. I'm guessing that they called him on beating the command. The bar came off of his chest before he got that press command. So the weight wasn't the problem, but just the technical execution of it. It's definitely something he can work on in training, and I hope that we'll see him back at another competition very soon, and he can hit that 25 kilos and get it as a good lift on the score sheet. All right, Reed is up next. 57.5 kilos, 126 pounds. Well, this is almost one of those big plates at the gym, the big pound plates. And that's 135 kilos, and this is 126. Just a little bit too heavy today. He came down really fast there, and I think actually hit the safeties on the descent. So bit of an error there. Maybe the safeties need to be a little bit lower, but still successful with his second of 47.5. And again, a new goal for his next competition to get that 57.5. All right, Callum is our final bencher of the day, taking 77.5 kilos, 170 pounds. He was successful on his second attempt with 75, so he's jumping 2.5. So typically in powerlifting, your attempt selection has to be multiples of 2.5. However, in the youth division, they are allowed to go up by 1 kilo. So 77.5, national record attempt and a provincial record attempt on his way to hopefully qualifying for nationals at the end of the day. And just not there today for Callum, but again, still successful with his second attempt. So all these three were successful with their second attempts. So they will be able to use that attempt to contribute towards their totals at the end of the day. So we will take a 20-minute break here and then be back for deadlifts. Again, thank you to the sponsors of the Provincial Championships. The title sponsor of the day of the competition is Saskatchewan Lotteries, Supplement King, and Supplement World. For gold sponsors, we have Blackthorn Events, Mackey Physiotherapy, Inner Strength Products, and A7. And for silver sponsors, we have Foundation Fitness, Bridge City Barbell, SBD Canada, Sasktel, Strong Arm Sport, Great Western Brewing. And so a huge thank you to those sponsors. You can see them on the backdrop of the event as well. And as always, we encourage you to support the companies that are supporting this sport and helping it to grow. So definitely, if you're going to spend your dollars anywhere this holiday season, we encourage you to choose one of the ones who's sponsoring us. So we've got 19 minutes left of this break, and then we'll be back for the deadlift portion of the event, where I'm sure we'll see some more record attempts and hopefully some national qualifying totals as well. We'll see you in 18 minutes. right, and we are about to get started on deadlifts. So Lars is coming out for a 40 kilo opening attempt here, 88 pounds. And a good opening attempt for Lars. So in the deadlift, the athlete can start the lift at any time once they come out to the platform, and then they have to stand upright and wait for the chief referee to give them a down command. So there's only one command in the deadlift. So Reed is taking 65 kilos for his opening attempt. And again, all of our guys here are setting provincial records. And we've got Callum setting some national records as well. Another easy looking opening attempt. Referees say it's a good lift. 3 white lights. And then we will swap out the bar here for Callum to the 20 kilo bar. Callum's taking 170 kilos for his opening attempt here. And again, it's a national record attempt, as well as a provincial record attempt, breaking his own provincial record. And 170 kilos is 374 pounds for Callum, weighing about 154 pounds. And that's a good lift for Callum. New national record in the deadlift as well as that total. So all of our athletes now have a total that is made up of their best squat attempt, bench attempt, and deadlift attempt. So they all have a total now, which gives them a ranking within their division. And we will now take a 3-minute break and then start our second round of deadlifts. So each of these guys has 2 more lifts to do. And then that will complete the 2024 Saskatchewan Powerlifting Association Provincial Championships. So looking ahead, we have the Last Chance Powerlifting Competition happening in Moose Jaw on December 7th. And then at this time, there's no further competitions planned locally in the province. And then we will play host to the 2025 National Championships being held in Moose Jaw at the end of February. And that competition is going to have hundreds of athletes at it. Right now, the entries are at about 330 athletes with still about a week to go in the entries. And we do expect it to be over 600 athletes registered and competing here in the province. And those athletes will be from all over Canada, from every province. So it's going to be a very large event, and some fabulous lifting is sure to happen. Again, a thank you to our title sponsors of today's championship, Saskatchewan Lotteries, Supplement King, and Supplement World. Our gold sponsors of the weekend, Blackthorn Events, Mackey Physiotherapy, Inner Strength Products, and A7. And our silver sponsors of the championship, Foundation Fitness, Bridge City Barbell, SBD Canada, SaskTel, Strong Arm Sport, and Great Western Brewing. A huge thank you to those companies that are sponsoring powerlifting, and we do encourage you to sponsor those companies that are supporting us. And a minute left in our break here before we start our second round of deadlifts. Lars is going to be our first athlete with a 45 kilo attempt, or 99 pounds. And again, unfortunately, the weather was not good today, so we didn't have all of the athletes who were supposed to compete show up. So we've just got a small number of athletes this morning, but it's still been a very good morning. Tons of provincial records set, some national records set, and I believe attempting to qualify for nationals as well if Callum's day goes well as a sub-junior athlete, as he will age up out of the U3 division next year into the sub-junior. All right, the bar is going to be loaded here for Lars. 15 kilos on, 45 kilos on the bar, 15 kilo plate on each side. That looked good. Referees say it's a good lift. Nice and strong for Lars. So with the deadlift, the bar has to go up in one fluid movement. It can't have any downward movement. And it can't be supported on the legs, so you can't sort of ramp it up the legs as you stand up, and then you need to be standing up tall at the finish and wait for that down command, and then hold the bar until it hits the ground. You can't drop it from the top. If you drop it from the top, you're going to get a red light with a yellow card. All right, Reed's coming out for a second attempt, 176 pounds, 80 kilos. Oh, very easy. Looked like he was a little bit on his heels at the top there, but that's okay. 3 white lights. And now we're moving up to Callum, 180 kilos on the bar for Callum, 396 pounds, which is a really incredible deadlift as a 13-year-old. So again, changing out the bar just due to the change in loads. And if you're interested in learning more about the sport, seeing what provincial records are, looking at past meet results, you can head over to saskpowerlifting.ca and find all of those details there, including information on how to become a member and upcoming events. As we get more and more on the calendar in 2025, you'll see the upcoming events page updated with those events and information on how to register. All right, Callum's coming out here for 180 kilo second attempt. Sorry, I got myself mixed up there. Just a bit too heavy today, but he'll have another shot at that on his third attempt. So it's possible he just missed grip or something there. So again, we'll take a 3-minute break now while the bar is changed out. And just because there are only 3 athletes, so they get a little bit of compensatory rest time here. And then we will have our final deadlifts of the day. So again, these athletes are all setting provincial records on their attempts. Callum, on his third deadlift, will also be attempting a provincial record and a national record. And then they will be looking to secure in their totals for the day as well. And again, if you think you might be interested in this sport, it's always good to come out to a competition before you actually compete, just to see the flow of a competition, see how that works. The next competition in the province is December 7th. It's the last chance powerlifting competition in Moose Jaw. There's a bit of information on our website under upcoming events as well, so you can find out details of that there. Spectators are welcome at all powerlifting competitions, and that one there is no entry fee. And then Saskatchewan will play host to the 2025 National Championships in February. And you'll be able to find details on the Saskatchewan page, or cpunationals.com has information there as well. And we'll see how many Saskatchewan lifters we have at that championships. I expect it will be a large team from Saskatchewan, just because it is a local competition, and usually when it's local, it's easier for people to travel. It's a bit cheaper, so we do get a bigger Saskatchewan team. And we definitely will have some Saskatchewan athletes named as national champions and qualify for international events to be on the national team through that event. About a minute left here in our 3-minute break, and then we'll have 3 more deadlifts to finish off the day, and that will then conclude the 2025 Saskatchewan Powerlifting Association Provincial Championships. This event was held over the last 3 days. It started Friday night, ran all day yesterday, and then this morning here. I think we had around 100 athletes competing this weekend. So it was definitely a large championship. Some phenomenal lifting, a handful of national records set, a ton of national records set this morning by Callum, a couple set yesterday by a variety of athletes, and tons of personal bests, tons of smiles as the athletes are pushing themselves and seeing what they're capable of. So this is the last lift of the powerlifting meet, the 3rd deadlift. With this lift, they've all secured their total already, but just trying to push their total a little bit higher with this final deadlift. So Lars is asking for 50 kilos, 110 pounds. It's a provincial record attempt for the deadlift, as well as a provincial record attempt for the total. So there's records held for all of the lifts and the total. Very good control there by Lars. 3 white lights, good finish to his day. That was great lifting today by Lars. Just missed his 3rd bench press attempt of 25 kilos. Now he lifted that attempt, but he got called, I think, on beating the press command. So that's one of those, it's an easy fix, just needs to practice a little bit more in training, to just be conscious of those commands and listening to them, and he will do fabulous at his next competition. All right, Reed is asking for 87.5 for his 3rd, 193 pounds. He was successful with 80 kilos, or 176 pounds on his 2nd attempt, so a 7.5 kilo jump here. And a provincial record attempt as well in the deadlift and total.
Guard load for Reed. 87.5 kilos.
Very easy 3rd attempt. Sets it down nicely and gets 3 white lights. An awesome day for Reed as well. Finishes strong with that 87.5 kilo deadlift. And our final deadlift of the morning. Callum is asking for 180 kilos again. He missed this on his 2nd attempt. I'm hopeful that it was just maybe a technical issue, misgrip, something like that, where he can come out and correct it on his 3rd. 396 pounds, so just shy of 400 pound deadlift at 12 years old, or 13 years old. Is pretty incredible. And Callum has been setting national and provincial records all day. This lift will be an attempt at provincial deadlift record and a national deadlift record as well as total record, because the deadlift contributes towards the total. All right, so waiting for Callum to come out here, 180 kilos. I just got a sign from one of the referees that it's possible that he's not coming out for this attempt. He missed it on that 2nd, and it just might, the risk versus reward might not be there for it if he felt like it was just too heavy today. So it doesn't look like I see him coming out, and it looks like so he's just timing out this attempt, which means he's not going to come out. We'll just let the minute clock run down, but he still finishes his day with a 400 kilo total and Still successful with that. Tons of national records, so a great day. A great day had by all competitors today. That wraps up. We will have a medal ceremony here shortly, which I believe we will leave the camera on for. So again, thank you to our sponsors, our title sponsors of the Saskatchewan Powerlifting Association Championship, Saskatchewan Lotteries, Supplement King, and Supplement World. Our gold sponsors, Blackthorn Events, Mackey Physiotherapy, Inner Strength Products, and A7. And our silver sponsors, Foundation Fitness, Bridge City Barbell, SPD Canada, SaskTel, Strong Arm Sport, and Great Western Brewing. As always, we strongly encourage you to go and support those companies that are sponsoring our sport, as they do help us take the sport to the next level and host these great events. So from Saskatchewan Powerlifting, thank you for tuning in. Thank you to all of the competitors from the 2024, I'm a year ahead of myself, 2024 Saskatchewan Powerlifting Association Provincial Championships, and that concludes this year's championships. We will see you at the next one, and stay tuned for the medal ceremony.